The smell of fresh paint hits me the moment I unlock the front door, and for exactly 3 seconds, I'm purely happy. The afternoon light comes through the bare windows at an angle that makes the hardwood glow. The walls are the soft taupe I chose after looking at 73 samples. The space is empty and perfect and entirely mine, and I stand in the living room with my hands in my pockets, just breathing it in. I bought this house alone. No cosigner, no partner, no family money. I made the down payment from 7 years of interior styling contracts, from early mornings pulling fabric samples and late nights coordinating installations, from saying yes to every client meeting and no to almost every expensive evening with friends. The mortgage is significant, but I've run the numbers enough times that they live in my bones. I can do this. I have done this. My mother had called 3 days after my closing, asking to see it before the housewarming party. I want to see what my daughter accomplished, as she'd said, and something in that phrasing, my daughter, like I was an achievement of hers, should have made me defensive. Instead, it made me soften. She has never been generous with approval. The fact that she wanted to come felt like a door opening. I gave her the spare key I'd made. I asked her to accept the furniture delivery on Tuesday because I was in Seattle with a client. The pieces were coming from a wholesaler, a sofa, sectional, coffee table, and credencer that I'd selected specifically for this space, for the way the light moved through it, for the proportions and the color. Everything cost exactly what it should have cost, which is to say, everything. The living room is empty except for my sister's furniture. I see it before my brain fully processes what it is. The ancient sectional from Ashley's old apartment, the one that was stained with something I never wanted to know about, crammed into the far corner with its metal feet scratching the hardwood. My mother's reading chair, the one with the burst seam that's been leaking foam for 2 years. A coffee table that's actually a particle board thing I helped Ashley buy at a discount outlet when she was still married to Greg, before the divorce, before the credit card debt, before the whole careful structure of her life came apart and she decided that structure was a myth anyway. I walk back outside and sit on the porch steps. My phone buzzes almost immediately, a text from an unknown number, which is weird, because it's Ashley's name attached to it. She must have a new phone. The new phones are always a sign. New phone, new start, new crisis. The first thing I see is a photo. Ethan and Noah, my nephews, jumping on my sofa. Their faces are bright and laughing. They're in their clothes from school. Noah still has his backpack on, which is dangerous around furniture. You're not supposed to jump in a backpack, but they're jumping anyway, and they're happy, and I watch my own affection for them claw against what I'm seeing. The text reads, Thanks for the housewarming gift. The boys are so excited about the new place. Your taste is different than I expected, but honestly they don't care lol. Mom said it was totally fine. She's here now just hanging out. Come by whenever. I read it 3 times. I read it the way you read something that doesn't make sense in your native language, like the words are there but the meaning is behind glass. I call her. She answers on the second ring, and I can hear them in the background, my mother's voice and the boys and some music that's too loud for a Tuesday afternoon. Lauren. Hi. Did you see the pics? Ashley, where is my furniture? There's a pause. I can hear her thinking about how to frame this. This is what Ashley does. She thinks about framing. She learned it from our mother, who learned it from our grandmother, who probably learned it from someone else. It's generational. Oh my God, okay, so here's the thing, as she says, and I've heard this phrase 900 times, and it means something bad is about to be reframed as something reasonable. Mom said it was fine if we brought that stuff over, and honestly, you live alone. So having actual furniture that people can use made more sense than just, like, a bunch of fancy things nobody can sit on. And the boys really needed somewhere to play. Plus Mom wanted to help you out because that's a lot of new furniture to pay for, so we kind of consolidated things, and bring my furniture back. Lauren, come on. Let's not be dramatic. Can't you just? I hang up. I sit on my porch for 4 to 5 minutes, looking at the street, at the neighbors' houses with their normal, undisturbed living rooms visible through their windows. I think about the decision to come home. I think about the closing papers and the key in my hand and the future I've been building alone, carefully, intentionally, without asking anyone for anything. I think about my nephews' faces, which are always an exception to my rules, which always make me say yes to things I should say no to. Then I drive to Ashley's apartment. The building is in a complex that smells like someone's cooking and someone else's desperation. The stairs are narrow. When I open the door, which she hasn't locked, of course she hasn't locked it, I can see my furniture taking up most of the space. The sofa where I sat for 2 hours choosing the right fabric, the sectional where I was going to read and think and eventually invite people I cared about, the credencer where I was going to display the few art pieces I've collected over the years. All of it is pressed into Ashley's living room like a mouth too full of food. My mother is sitting on my sofa. There's a mug of coffee on my coffee table, no coaster, a ring already forming on the wood that I can see from the doorway. Lauren. My mother stands up, and there's something in her face, not guilt, but the performance of someone managing guilt. I know this looks dramatic, but we were actually trying to help. Where is my furniture? It's here, and my mother says, gesturing around, confused by the question. We brought it here for safekeeping while you're still getting the house together. Ashley wasn't using this space anyway, so it made sense to have it all in one place, and the boys really need it. I didn't ask you to move my furniture. I didn't ask you to come to my house while I was gone and take things that belong to me. My mother's face changes. This is the moment where she decides to stop pretending this was reasonable, and instead, she doubles down. It's her reflex, the thing she does when she's been caught. She doesn't apologize. She escalates. You know, Lauren, not everything has to be about you and your things, as she says, and her voice has taken on a tone that I know is about to justify whatever she's about to say. Your sister has nothing. She has 2 children and literally nothing, and you're sitting here worried about your precious sofa while her kids are sleeping on the floor. Is that who you want to be? The kind of daughter who leaves her sister's children without furniture while she... I hold up my hand. I don't yell. I don't cry. I feel something very cold move through my chest, and I understand, for the first time, that this is what my mother has been counting on. She's been counting on the fact that I love my nephews more than I respect myself. She's been counting on the guilt, which is her greatest tool, which she has sharpened since I was born. Bring it back by Friday, I say. Lauren, be reasonable. Friday. Or I'm calling the police. My mother laughs. It's a real laugh, which is somehow worse than if she'd been angry. You're going to call the police on your own mother? Over furniture? That's actually sad. I walk out. I leave her there on my sofa, in my sister's apartment, and I drive home to my empty house and I take pictures of every surface, every corner, every place where I see the damage from them being there. The scratches on the hardwood where those metal feet dug in. The ghost impressions in the paint where my real furniture was positioned. The air still smells like someone else's home, and I open every window and I cry for about 20 minutes, not because I'm sad, but because this is what my body does when it finally understands that it's been fighting against something that won't stop. That night, I call Meyer. Meyer lives 3 blocks away and arrives with wine and the kind of presence that makes things feel possible. She's been my best friend since college, which means she's watched me do this my entire adult life, watched me loan money that never gets repaid, watched me cover costs for family events I didn't want to attend, watched me care for children who belong to a sister who doesn't care for me at all. How angry are you? She asks, sitting on my empty floor, drinking wine from a mug because I don't have glasses in this house yet. I don't know, I say. Is there a kind of anger that's also completely clear? Like, I'm angry, but I'm not confused. I'm not wondering if I did something wrong. I'm not hoping this is a misunderstanding. That's the bad kind, Amir says. That's the kind that doesn't go away because you're also right. On Thursday, my mother calls to negotiate. The boys miss you, as she says, which is her opening play. I thought maybe you were being hasty about the furniture thing. Why don't we call it even? You take your stuff back, we take ours, and we just move forward. There's no reason to bring police into a family matter. There is, actually. The reason is that I asked you to leave my house and return my property, and you're refusing. We're not refusing. We're solving it gradually. Gradually is not a timeline I gave you. There's silence, and then my mother's voice changes. It becomes something I recognize from childhood, the voice she uses when she's about to offer you something you don't want, but she's going to phrase it like a gift. I know this is hard for you, Lauren. You've always been sensitive. But sometimes family means putting aside your feelings and doing what's right. Ashley has had a difficult time. You know that. She's struggling. And those boys deserve to have a comfortable place to live. If you really loved your nephews, you would understand that. I hang up again. This time, I don't call back. Friday comes. The furniture is not returned. I drive past Ashley's apartment, and I can see through the window that nothing has changed. My mother's car is still parked there. I think about my nephews sleeping in that place with my stolen furniture around them, and I think about how my mother has made my love for those children into a weapon, and I think about how I could spend the rest of my life negotiating with people who refuse to see me as anything but a resource. I drive to the police station. The officer I speak to is a woman named Detective Santos, and she listens to my explanation without interrupting. I show her photos of the furniture in my home before the theft. I show her the delivery receipts with the furniture descriptions. I show her the text messages where my mother agreed to accept delivery on my behalf. I show her the photos of my furniture in my sister's apartment, which Ashley posted on Instagram with no concept of what she was documenting. This is theft, a Detective Santos says, and I hear something like relief in her voice, the relief of something simple, something that doesn't require interpretation or family politics. It's just theft. People take things that don't belong to them. People get caught. That's how it works. They go with me to Ashley's apartment on Saturday morning. My mother is there. She goes very pale when she sees them. What follows is humiliating for everyone, which is the point. The furniture is photographed, catalogued, and loaded back into the truck I've rented. My mother doesn't speak to me. Ashley cries and calls me cruel. One of my nephews, Noah, asks why I'm being mean to his mom, and I kneel down to his level and I tell him that this isn't about being mean, this is about being clear, and he's too young to understand what that means, but he will, someday, if he's lucky. The sofa and everything else goes back into my living room. I hire a professional cleaning service. I work with them to document every stain and every damage. By Monday, the house smells like my house again. I have 3 days until the Vivienne Ross photo shoot. Vivienne Ross is the founder of a luxury smart curtain technology brand, and I've been contracted as her interior stylist and brand consultant for an editorial campaign. It's the kind of opportunity that doesn't come around twice. It's the kind of thing that could take my business from being successful to being undeniable. She's supposed to come to my house on Thursday to discuss the vision. I call her on Tuesday. I'm sitting in my living room, on my restored sofa, and I tell her the truth. There was a situation with my family, I say. They took my furniture without permission. I had to involve police to get it back. There may be some residual damage to the house that I'm repairing, but I want you to know before you come here. I want you to know what kind of person I am, because you're considering doing business with me, and you deserve to know. There's a long pause. Are you okay? Vivienne asks. I'm getting there. Good, Ishi says. I've been doing business for 30 years. The people I trust aren't the ones who never have problems. They're the ones who have problems and handle them with integrity. Thursday at 2. Don't change anything about your house. I want to see it like it is. Thursday at 2. Vivienne walks through my front door. She's in her 60s, with grey hair that she wears in a way that suggests she doesn't care what anyone thinks, but she actually does care. She just cares about the right things. She walks through every room slowly. She sees the house like she's reading it. She sees the space and the light and the intention in every choice I've made. This is beautiful, Ishi says. It's completely true, and it's beautiful. This is what I want the campaign to be. The photo shoot happens 2 weeks later. 2 photographers, 3 assistants, a stylist who works with Vivienne, and me, moving through my house like we're choreographing something sacred. The windows, which are where the smart curtains will live, become the star. The light moves through the day, and we capture it, and the space transforms with the season and the hour and the technology. It's the best work I've ever done. The campaign launches 6 weeks after that. The magazine spread is 8 pages, and my home is the backdrop for something that matters. There's an article that mentions my role as brand consultant. There are quotes from Vivienne about the importance of working with people you trust. My phone rings constantly after that. Other brands want to work with me. A home design company offers me a position as a senior consultant. The magazine asks me to be part of a roundtable about the future of interior design. None of this was guaranteed. All of this is because I did the work and I didn't pretend that the destruction of my things was okay, and I chose myself. I send one final email to my mother's address. The subject line is a final inverse. In the body, I list everything. 7 years of small loans that became permanent gifts. The year I paid her car insurance because she couldn't. The $600 a month I've been sending for the nephews since Ashley and Greg divorced. The emergency vet bill when her dog got sick. The credit card debt I quietly paid off when she had 6 months left to pay it. All of it added up and calculated, rendered into numbers. At the end, I write, I have never asked you for anything that I couldn't provide for myself. I have always been the one who catches people when they fall. I've decided to stop. This isn't cruelty. This isn't abandonment. This is a boundary. The family ATM is closed. My home is closed to you and Ashley. I will maintain contact with Ethan and Noah only if you are not present, and only if they ask for me. I wish you well. I truly do. But I wish you well from a distance. I block her number. I block Ashley's number. I block my mother's email address. I remove myself from the family group chat. For 2 weeks, my phone stays quiet, and then it doesn't. My father calls. My father is a quiet man. He's been quiet through every family conflict I can remember, which doesn't mean he's innocent. Passivity is a choice. But his voice on the phone sounds different, sounds like someone who has been awake thinking about something difficult. Your mother says you're not coming to Thanksgiving, he says. That's right. She says you're being cruel. I told her why. I sent her a list of the boundary. There's a long pause. I can hear him breathing. I read what you sent. The list. Okay. I didn't know it was all like that. I thought it was just you being generous because you could afford to be. I didn't realize you were paying for things I thought she was handling. I want to say something, but I wait. He needs to finish. I think you did the right thing, he says. I should have done something earlier. I should have. I don't know. Been braver about speaking up. Why are you calling me, Dad? Because you're my daughter, and I want to tell you that I see what you did, and I'm proud of you. I'm also sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't brave enough to stop it. It's not an apology that fixes anything, but it's an apology that acknowledges. And somehow, that's enough to let him exist in my life. We make plans to have lunch, just the two of us, somewhere neutral. I tell him my house is not available for family gatherings, but maybe someday, after a lot of water under a lot of bridges. The house becomes what I always imagined it would be. Meyer comes over for dinner regularly. Ben, who I met at a client site 6 months after the photo shoot, becomes a regular person in my space. He's a contractor, which is funny because my sister always said I'd end up with someone practical, and I always defended myself against the stereotype. But the truth is that Ben is practical and also thoughtful and also deeply, specifically respectful of boundaries. He once asked to move a lamp and didn't move it without permission. He asked before he kissed me. He asked before he left a toothbrush here. It's a low bar, the thing I'm grateful for, and that's the point. It shouldn't be a low bar. It should be the foundation. Vivienne and I start a production company together. We consult for high-end residential and commercial clients. My sister doesn't reach out. My mother sends a text on my birthday, just a simple "a happy birthday," which I read as her trying, or maybe as her testing whether I've softened. I don't respond, but I don't block it either. That's the boundary, not cruelty, just clarity about who gets access to which parts of me. My nephews are 8 and 6. They're growing. My father brings them to see me twice a year at a coffee shop, and they don't quite know what happened or why I disappeared, but children are resilient in the way that breaks my heart. They adjust. They love me when they see me. I send them birthday presents. I keep them out of the conflict that isn't theirs to resolve. I sit on my sofa one evening, the one they jumped on, the one that's been repaired and restored. The light is coming through the windows the way it does in late afternoon, that brief golden hour when everything in a room looks like it's exactly where it should be. Ben is in the kitchen making pasta. Meyer is driving over with wine. The house smells like home, which is to say it smells like something I chose, something I built, something that belongs entirely to me and therefore now, safely, belongs to the people I invite into it. What I want to say about the house, about what happened, is that I don't think about it as victory. I think about it as correction. I was living as if I was responsible for everyone's comfort, and I was wrong. I was living as if my own feelings were less important than the feelings of people who didn't respect them, and I was wrong about that too. The moment where I didn't cry, where I just got clear and cold and calm, that was the moment I stopped being my mother's daughter and started being Lauren Mitchell, age 32, a woman who makes her own choices. It didn't feel good in the way that victory feels good. It felt good in the way that breathing feels good, like something that had been obstructed was finally clear. My mother still exists. My sister still exists. They're probably still waiting for me to soften, to come back, to resume being the person who catches them. They'll probably die believing that I was cruel to them, and I've made peace with the fact that I can't change their story. I can only live my own. And my story now is about a woman who learned, slowly and with terrible cost, that choosing herself was the most generous thing she could do, not for them, but for everyone who actually loved her. Because when you stop spending your energy on people who don't respect it, you have so much energy left for the people who do. You have energy left for yourself. The sun is still coming through the windows. Ben brings me a glass of wine. My phone buzzes with a text from Meyer that she's 2 minutes away. There are stains on my hardwood that never quite came out, little ghosts of what was taken and returned. I could have them refinished, but I think I'll leave them. They're part of the history. They're part of the house now, and the house is part of me, and I'm finally done apologizing for any of it.